Stephen Colbert has been in the news before for his sharp wit and fearless comments, but this time he's really knocked it out of the park. No one, not even fans or reviewers, saw this coming, and people are talking about it all over the place. That being said, what did he say that caused such a huge reaction? Watch to find out why Stephen Colbert's most recent shocking comment is getting so much attention around the world. He was born in Washington, D.C., on May 13, 1964. And grew up in Charleston, South Carolina, as the youngest of 11 children. While Colbert was only 10, his father and two brothers died in a plane crash in 1974. This was probably the most important event in his life. He became more shy and turned to reading for comfort, especially science fiction and fantasy books by authors like J.R.R. Tolkien. A badly damaged eardrum caused Colbert to lose his hearing in his right ear during a botched surgery when he was a child. Colbert doesn't mind that he has trouble hearing and even likes doing a trick that has to do with it. His right ear sticks out a little, but he can tuck it inside out and pop it back in place when he winks. It was years ago when Colbert showed David Letterman on The Late Show. He joked that his ear is just a prop. It became clear to Colbert in his teens that he had a natural talent for comedy and acting. During his time at Charleston's Episcopal Porter God School, he took part in school plays which opened up his imagination. At first, he wanted to study philosophy at Hampton-Sydney College in Virginia, but in the end, he found that performing was what he really loved. Because of this understanding, he transferred to Northwestern University and changed his major to theater. He graduated in 1986. He went to Chicago after college and joined the Second City comedy troupe, where he first worked behind the scenes. In time, he took comedy classes and joined Second City's traveling group, where he performed all over the country. Here, he met Amy Sedaris and Paul Dinello, two other comedians, with whom he worked on projects for a long time. They made and acted in two comedies on TV together: Exit 57, a sketch show, and Strangers with Candy, a show that made fun of after-school specials. The second one became a cult classic and was later turned into a movie in 2005. Strangers with Candy was picked up by Comedy Central in 1997. But Colbert had already joined The Daily Show with Jon Stewart that year. There, he became famous as a conservative reporter. People liked his part on The Daily Show right away, which led to his rise as a comedian and setting them up for a successful job in TV. By the early 2000s, Colbert was already famous as a comic who used satire and deadpan humor. He was well on his way to becoming a star. On Comedy Central, The Colbert Report first aired in the fall of 2005. As a snarky right-wing host, Colbert imitated the talk show experts who were popular at the time. The show became one of Comedy Central's most popular right away, with over 1 million people watching each episode in its first week. Stephen Colbert made the funny show The Colbert Report. While they did it, people thought a lot about politics and the news. It wasn't just a fun thing to do. Stephen made up a liberal newscaster who was too much and always thought he was right. This guy was also known as Stephen Colbert. He acted and seemed very serious, but he was just a funny over-the-top take on a few different types of newscasters. Being this person was a joke for Stephen about politicians and the news media. He did this, which was both strange and funny. 6 months after the first episode of The Colbert Report aired, Colbert was the main speaker at the White House Correspondents Association dinner in 2006. Just a few feet away were President George W. Bush and First Lady Laura Bush. During Colbert's off-color rant, the crowd was silent, and critics were split. Some people liked what he said, while others thought it was rude. The debate only made him more well-known, though. The Colbert Report became a huge hit on Comedy Central, and won a bunch of Emmys, including ones for Best Comedy Show in 2013 and 2014. Colbert was chosen to take over as host of The Late Show from David Letterman in April 2014, after Letterman said he was retiring in 2015. Colbert said that being a guest on David Letterman's show was the best thing that had ever happened to him in his work. He admits that he never thought he would become like Letterman, and said that everyone in late-night TV looked up to Dave as a leader. Colbert also said that he was happy and thankful that CBS had picked him for the part. He then made a funny comment about needing to go grind his front teeth. After Colbert left on September 8, 2015, it took a while for The Late Show to find its new style. But in the end it got to the top of the ratings, thanks to how well the hosts handled politically charged jokes, especially after Trump became president and dominated the news. Colbert was also famous for his recurring bits like Big Questions with Even Bigger Stars, in which he and his guest looked up at the sky and talked about silly philosophical ideas. After some time on The Late Show, Colbert found a voice that people all over the world could connect with. He knew about and liked David Letterman's past, but he also added his own funny style, which makes late-night TV interesting and fun. When Colbert changed, it was the beginning of a new era in his work and late-night comedy. He was able to mix funny lines with serious topics well. In March 2020, the COVID-19 outbreak stopped work on The Late Show. Colbert made news by recording monologues from his porch, his bathtub, and other rooms in his house. Colbert signed an agreement with CBS in June 2023, even though his original contract was set to end at the end of the year. He will now work for the network at least until 2026. The agreement's financial terms were kept secret, but under his old contract, Colbert was thought to make about $15 million a year. Colbert's personal life is full of interesting changes and twists, just like his work life. Colbert supposedly went back home to think about his future in 1990, after his girlfriend gave him an ultimatum: fishes or cuts bait. When he told his mom about his choice, she gave him some good advice. It's not right if you don't know. Colbert talked to his mother one night, and then went to a musical opening at the Spoldo Festival, where he met the woman who would become his bride. He told the paper, "I'll never forget it. As I walk in, I see a woman across the hallway and think, that's her. I thought, that's crazy at that moment. Dear Colbert, you're crazy. I was right, it turned out." Colbert's mom also remembers that terrible night. It took him all night to talk to her. Colbert and Evelyn have been married since 1993. They have 3 kids, a daughter named Madeline, born in 1995, and 2 sons, Peter, born in 1998, and John, born in 2002. Colbert has been famous for decades, but his personal life seems pretty normal. Stephen and his family are living a very good life. He's always with his family. His family and neighborhood have always been important to him. Colbert told the New York Times in 2005 that he had a loving wife and that he thought he was strangely normal. He said that he liked to read to his kids at night, and added, "I love hugs. We're really stupid." Colbert is said to be a devoted Irish Catholic who takes his family to church every Sunday. He's been known to teach Sunday school when he has time. His views shape how he feels about many moral and social issues, and he hasn't tried to hide that. Colbert often sees things this way. He makes fun of the world with his faith. Being friendly and open will let him have deep talks about being kind and fair. Colbert often sings on his show to show off his skills. Did you know, though, that he's also won a Grammy and lived on Broadway? In 2009, Colbert got a Grammy for A Colbert Christmas. It seems that he shows himself to be a real song and dance man in the musical Christmas special. The triple threat even got his friend Stewart to join in, singing together on the instant hit Can I Interest You in Hanukkah. Stephen Colbert is famous for being funny and making people smile, but not many people know how much pain he feels inside. You will feel terrible about the terrible thing that happened to him. Stephen Colbert talked about how important it is to learn to love the thing you wish never happened in a very private and honest interview with Anderson Cooper about loss and sadness. On September 11, 1974, Colbert's father and 2 boys about the same age, Paul and Peter, were on a plane going from Charleston, South Carolina, to Charlotte, North Carolina. Eastern Airlines Flight 212 was a small DC-9 plane with 82 people on board. It looked like it was making a normal approach to Douglas Municipal Airport. The plane never got to Douglas because it crashed 3 miles short of its landing on a hillside with cornfields. It was foggy that morning, and records from the cockpit show that the crew lost track of how high the plane was flying. This wasn't just because of bad weather, though. The pilots weren't really paying attention, which was the real issue. In any case, the crash was terrible, no matter what caused it. Out of the 82 people on board, only 13 made it through the first impact. In the end, 72 people died in the crash. James, Paul, and Peter were among those who died. Stephen Colbert talked about that for many years. He thought that his secret name was the death of his father and uncles. He talked about how he liked the idea of having a secret name that no one could really say because it showed who he was. He said that this secret name was magical, and that it was connected to his sadness over the death of a family member. Stephen Colbert was 10 years old when his father and uncles died suddenly. He was left to grow up with his grieving mother. He said that they had been alone for a long time, but seeing how much pain his mother was in, taught him how to deal with his own. He said, "By her example, am I not bitter?" to show that she had helped him stay positive. Based on what she did, she wasn't broken, yes, not bitter. Colbert talked about how he dealt with a lot of pain by embracing it. His death of his father and brothers was like a huge blast, which he eventually learned to accept. He said that he had to learn to love the bomb. Colbert said that he spent a lot of time reading since his father and two brothers were not with him. He said he read a book every day and spent all of his income on books. For his birthday, confirmation, and Christmas, he asked for books. The fact that Colbert spent a lot of time with his mother shaped more than just his love of reading as an adult. Colbert said that the thing that first drew him to comedy was making his mother laugh after what she had been through. He said that there was no question that he worked hard at his job to make his mother happy. He also said that he really wanted to make a sad woman feel better. Stephen Colbert was 10 years old when his father and brothers died, but it took him almost twice as long to really understand how sad it was. He said that the loss didn't hit him hard until he was in college. He said that he started his freshman year at about 185 pounds, and by the end of the year he had lost so much weight that he was only 135 pounds. He said that he felt green and sad all the time. He thought that the fact that he was no longer living at home was the reason it took him so long to really feel the weight of his loss. He said that it hit him hard when he finally had time to be alone and think about them not being there. He said that even though it seemed like a long time at the time, it seemed like a blink of an eye now that he was 48 years old. After some tough years in school, he found that theater was the perfect way to forget about his problems. Colbert said that he was using Stanislavski and Meissner practices at the time, and that by doing so he was letting everyone around him feel his pain. He said it was both a form of therapy and an acting class. At the time, the deaths of his father and brother may have hit him like a ton of bricks, but he's learned to deal with loss in a very different way since then. In the end, he said, "Sadness is its own thing. It's not like it's inside me, and I'll deal with it. It's real, and you need to be okay with it being there. If you don't pay attention to it, it will be like a wolf at your door." Colbert said that his mother had a big impact on how he saw the world. He said that he wasn't angry about things that happened to him as a child, and that his mother was a big reason why he wasn't. According to Colbert, she taught him to be thankful for everything in life. He talked about how his mother taught him that God's comfort in pain is not the lack of pain, but the way that pain itself can be a gift. He thought about it and said, God doesn't really give you another choice. He would use what he learned when he had to deal with another hard loss later on. His mother Lorna died in 2013. She was 92 years old. He took some time off from the Colbert Report to be with her as she died. He broke character when he went back to his show after her funeral. He stopped playing the crazy far-right talk show host he had been playing since The Daily Show and gave a moving speech in honor of her. Colbert said that his mother was a big part of his success. He then talked about her past and how it had shaped him. Back in the day, she had trained to be an actress. She would teach her kids how to do stage falls by acting like she was passing out on the kitchen floor. He said she was fun, pointing out that the way she was playful had an effect on his own sense of humor. Colbert then asked her how she got through the hard times of losing loved ones. She said that when he last talked to her, all she could remember was a child's prayer she used to say to his brothers before bed. One of her favorite prayers was of a young mother putting her kids in at night. She told us all the way through that we were the best thing in her life. At the end of his speech, Colbert said that his mother wanted him to keep working. After that, he went on with the show. What do you get when you lose something? During his talk with Cooper, he asked in a roundabout way. It makes you aware of other people's losses, which lets you connect with them, which helps you love more deeply and understand what it means to be human, if it's true that all people suffer. The Colbert Report has mostly made us laugh since its first show in 2005, but Stephen Colbert has had a bigger effect on culture than just making people laugh, both as his over-the-top, ultra-conservative character and as his normal self. There are many comedians who have done a lot to make satire an important part of modern public conversation. He could have been one of the most important people, though. People could enjoy a variety of unique satirical comic elements in the Colbert character. Colbert played a very patriotic first, and this may have been the most important thing. Colbert and his devoted fans, who call themselves Colbert Nation, came up with an option that was both funny and complex. Next, by pretending to be a pundit, Colbert was able to criticize the risks of most punditry being over the top, divided, and angry. Colbert told people over and over that a country that votes out of fear is not a healthy democracy. This brings us straight to a third important part of his personality: the unique ways it encouraged deep thought and lively conversation. One of the most important things about Colbert's humor is that it calls out logical errors, bad arguments, and false dichotomies. Colbert's regular show, The Word, was one of the best examples of this. In it, he read a written speech while text bullets flashed on a graphic to his right. It made the people in the room think critically about how to find their way through this knowledge. People had to spot deception, doublespeak, and puns in order to find the humor. A new breed of actors and comedians have been greatly influenced by Stephen Colbert. New comics are inspired by his unique blend of political knowledge and humor to tackle tough topics in a way that people can understand. Colbert has shown that he can keep people interested while still talking about important topics by funny and serious at the same time. A lot of people who want to be comedians have been motivated by this plan. They know that comedy can change society in big ways. People learned from Colbert that satire can really change how people think about the most important social problems of the day when everything goes right.